sometimes I get asked, like, oh, how do you go about coding, right? Like, it's usually for people that are new to programming, like some of my friends, or it's just also people online, I guess, you see on Reddit or stuff like that. And some people coming into this will be kind of confused. I was as well. Like, when I first started programming, I had no idea what text editor I should use and what language I should use, how to use Git and all these things. And I would keep jumping from different things to different things. Like, I remember I used the free version of Sublime Text 2, right? I think it was called, specifically, it was 2, but Sublime Text. Because I don't think VS Code was it was becoming popular at the time. And I didn't know what language to use. I was learning like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then I got into Python and Node, and then for a while I was jumping from different types of nodes. This was a bit later down the line, but like I would try Dino and Bun and all these things, and I tried using a AI assistant in VS Code when I eventually swapped over. Mind you, this was back when AI assistants weren't really good. It was Kite, I think that's what it was called, and I had to install it on my system and then connect it in VS Code. I remember, like, I'd be coding, and honestly it felt kind of sluggish. So I just want to talk about how I go into starting up a new project, or continuing a project, just what I do when I sit down and want to code. What's my workflow? So first off, let me preface by saying this video is going to be a little bit all over the place. I might get into tangents, but I'll try to stay kind of on topic. I want to talk about a few things specifically. One, my operating system. Two, terminals. Three, what text editor I use. For Git as well, talking about Git a little bit. It's just like a minor thing. And 5, coding agents and AIs and generative AIs and like Claude Code, stuff like that. And just more about my opinions on them, and you'll see what I do for my workflow. So first off, I'm using Linux, specifically NixOS, which means I don't know if everyone does this. I personally do it like this. I don't install programming languages globally in my global like NixOS configuration file. What I'll do is, I think this is a common thing. I'm not too sure because I don't see many like flake.nix files in repos. Like, sometimes I do, but I don't really check it out. But if you don't know what NixOS is, it's just a thing that lets you manage your dependencies a bit and your packages, and specifically the versioning between them, so that this project you've made, it uses these dependencies or these specific versions, and whenever you use Nix, it will specifically install those exact versions or anything that's compatible, I believe, and that way you don't have mixed versionings, and then this program expects this Python version, but then you have a newer version or an older version and all this, and then you have to install multiple Pythons. Anyway, so whenever I start a project, I have to install the compiler or the language that I'm going to be using, as well as maybe an LSP for it. The reason why I use NixOS is just because I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I tried it out, and I'm super happy with it. Specifically because I can write everything into a file, and I know that's everything on my system, pretty much. Like, there's no case of me installing something, forgetting that I've installed it, and then bloating my system over time. So let's get on to the terminal. Right, I use the terminal pretty much all the time, and let's go through this a little. So I just pressed Alt-T. That's how I open up my terminal. my terminal is Ghosty. The reason why I use Ghosty is just because I liked it. It had a very easy configuration stuff, like it was not too difficult to find what I wanted, and I didn't want a lot. I tried other ones, like I tried Kitty, I tried Westterm. I think for a period of time I tried Alacrity, but I never launched it up. So yeah, I just used Ghosty because it was like, oh, this new thing, let me try it. Okay, cool, it works. That's all I care. It's a terminal that works, and one of the nice things I liked about Ghosty was that it uses the Kitty image protocol thingy, so I could see, images. Like if I don't know if I have any images. Yeah, here we go. So here I've got some images from like different games I've tried to make or have made. And yeah, you can see the image. I love that. So yeah. That's why I use Ghosty. Now let's get on to how I would go about making a new project. So the way I would make a new project is I always start by CDing, I guess, changing directory into a code folder. So I used to call it projects, but it was kind of annoying to keep typing out. And everything that I write, all the projects, all the tests, all the experiments, they all live in here. Like if you see a language name, like these ones, that's me experimenting with that language, seeing different syntactic choices, semantic choices, special features in those specific languages. Anyway, so how I would go on to, let's say we're doing a hello world. Here's how I would start, right? So I'd go make a new directory, hello world, cd into hello world. Then I'm opening up tmux. Tmux is a terminal multiplexer. Now I could use tmux. I could get away with not using tmux, right? I could just use. Hey, so this is me when I'm editing. My audio is cutting out here, but basically what I'm saying is I don't want to use Ghosty's windowing, and tmux already has a bunch of extra stuff on top of it that Ghosty doesn't. Yeah. I just really hate how this looks. It screams GNOME, and I'm on Hyperland. And I don't know if you can fix this. I don't want to fix it. I'm too lazy. So I just use tmux. So when I'm in this, now what I'll do is I'll make a flake.nix, and I'll never make it from scratch. If you don't know what a flake.nix is, that's what I was talking about earlier with NixOS. Whenever you have a project and you have dependencies, you put them in a flake.nix. That way, when you go nix develop, that will install all of the dependencies that are needed and the right versions for those, just to ensure that your project doesn't break. That you don't get problems with versioning. So I never write this from scratch. I'll go into one of these guys. Doesn't even have to be the right language or development environment. I'll just take one, because this is kind of the same layout all the time, and I'll change what I need in the packages, or I'll change the name or the description. But I've got a C one. We're going to just write a hello world in C, and all it's doing is going to install Clang, and it's going to install Clang tools. And after that, once I've got the file, I forgot to mention, I will always open up two windows. One is to actually write the code, right? And then the other one is to run it. So we'll see that in a sec. Actually, I'll do it right now. Here I run nix develop to then install everything that's inside here, which is these two. And I'm going to run this now. It's going to take a sec, so I lied. It did not take a sec. I thought it would. Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. I must have had a Hello World before and done the exact same thing, and NixOS had installed it already, so it just used the same Clang. Okay, easier for me. And then afterwards, usually I'd make a source directory, and I'd also make a make file, and then I would put all my stuff. Or if it's a very simple project, I might even just do a sh file, a shell file. But this is very simple, so we're just gonna do a main.c. So that error that we just had is because I didn't close out and do nix develop. So there you go. And let's go ahead and write our hello world. So I use NeoVim as well. With NeoVim, the reason why I chose this as my text editor is just because I don't want to be using my mouse. That's literally the main reason. Like, my whole environment is done through my keyboard mostly. The only time I'll really use my mouse is if I'm playing like a game, or if I'm scrolling on, or just using a web browser in general. I've tried to see if I could find like terminal web browsers, or I tried even the Vim like plugin for web browsers, and it didn't feel nice. Like it just felt a lot less comfortable than just using my mouse, because then I have to do so much more on my keyboard to emulate what I want to do on the mouse. Whereas when I'm typing, I'm already typing. If I want to do something, I can easily do it from my keyboard. It would probably be at most like 5 keys, which is literally nothing. Yeah. And the reason why I use something that's not like VS Code or Cursor or anything like that is because they're so bloated to me. Like, why was it that when I made like a file that had 2,000 lines of code, when I would open it up in VS Code, it would already be lagging, and it wouldn't load the syntax highlighting instantly? What? It's only 2,000 lines. Why are you struggling? I want something that will just work. I don't need all the bells and whistles of VS Code. I have NeoVim. If I want some bells and whistles, I'll put it in my config. And speaking of, my config is also very minimal. Like, for a long time I didn't even have this stuff. Sometimes I still, like, this is the most minimal version I could have of this stuff. Usually it's like there's another thing here and another thing here. Like, I don't need all that. Just tell me the file name, where my cursor's at, if I've got any errors, and what mode I'm in right now. That's literally that's all I need. So let's write our hello world. Let's go printf hello world /n. Right, we can be a little pedantic about this. There we go. Now let's get on to how I would actually run the code, right? So I'm just using GCC as the alias because Clang will work with it. Given main.c, we'll call this actually hello world. There we go. Let's now run it. Here's our hello world. So this is my workflow. I'd write some code, I'd switch over to here, I'd run whatever I need to run, switch back. Sometimes if I want, I will, it's very rare, but I might, split it like this. More often I'll split it like this, but also not very often. Don't really need to be doing that. A lot of times though, I'll be splitting like this to see multiple files. Yeah. Now, let's go on to Git really quickly. There's a few different Git GUIs or even there's probably even TUIs for Git, which I don't get. It's a CLI. Just use the CLI. I can understand having a plugin for NeoVim so you can see your Git history and stuff like that. But it's not hard to just go, git add dot, or if you're doing a bunch of other stuff like, and then what? It's just git commit, git push, git branch. You learn these commands and you can just remember. If you forget, you just search it up. It's it's not that bad. So I don't use anything when it comes to git. It's just plain old the regular command line tool git. Now let's talk about coding agents and stuff like that and AI assistants. I don't use any of them. As in my actual terminal, in my NeoVim, I don't use any. I tried before and it got more annoying than anything. And I realized like for a while I just stopped thinking about some of the code. And I don't want that. I want to I want to be involved in the code. I don't because this is more of a passion of mine. It's not a I need to get this done. I need to release it. I need to publish it. I need to push the prod as soon as possible, or not push the prod. Sorry, I need to get prod up as soon as possible. I need to deploy. Nah, it's more of a passion thing. I'm sure maybe it's good in situations like that, but I think even then, the most I would do is I would go and open up a thing in Firefox, in my web browser, or whatever else, and I would just use any random AI assistant I can think of or easily access. Like I would use Gemini, or there's this website called Poe that has a bunch of different AIs, and I would just use that or whatever else, doesn't really matter. And most of the time it would be more it would be questions that I can't just ask Google or like a search engine, it would be questions that I can't just string into a sentence properly, where the search engine will be able to find exactly what I'm looking for. If I need someone to kind of bounce an idea off of, then yeah, I might use AI. Or if actually no, it's pretty much just that. If I need to get an idea for something, or if I'm kind of confused how I would do something, I might ask AI. But not before searching up the documentation or trying to search it up, because I don't trust it enough for it to be actually useful to my situation. And especially when you're actually making a project, like one that's over, let's set a minimum like 10,000 lines of code. I don't think it's going to be very helpful at that point, because the amount of context that it needs, it's like asking a random person to come into your project, and who's a programmer, sure, but find a bug. The AI will probably be faster than that, but you know what I mean? It's just, you don't really need it. If you're coding, you've got a team as well. I don't know. Me personally as well, it's just if I'm working on a project, I'll just work on the project. I'll write the code. I don't need fancy fluff. You know what I mean? Don't need fancy fluff. That's pretty much it. We can also talk quickly about how I would do certain things. I can go to definition, I can go back. If I don't know what comes next in the function, I can go GS, and that would tell me. That's kind of it, really. That's most of my keybinds. I don't do a lot. I don't need a lot besides the regular Vim motions. Oh, I have fuzzy finding. Yeah, if I want printf, there you go. I've got Mason and stuff like that, so that I can manage some LSPs if I've got any installed globally. Usually this happens when I'm just too lazy to install them per project. That's kind of it. I don't have a lot. My NeoVim config is only one file, and the file's not even that long. It's probably like 200 lines, maybe even less than that. So yeah, that's my workflow. If I've missed out on something that I'm just forgetting, you can let me know in the comments. I could reply, or I can make a follow-up video. And yeah, I probably have missed something. but maybe my workflow is too simple, especially for people that work full time as programmers. This might be even too simple. But yeah. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you. Bye bye.